Men, women, boys, and girls. This is Jake Scott, aka Mr. Two Pie, the DIY teacherpreneur, where I teach math, high school math, coach wrestling by day, and mind my own business by night. What do I mean when I say mind my own business? Well, I buy houses, fix them up, rent them out, and that is pretty much what I do. But today I'm going to tell you guys a story about a Mr. Cool DIY fifth generation that I think you may want to listen to before you ever invest in one of these things. So this story begins back in 2020, then when we had the pandemic. All right. One of the things that I did was I got a call from my tenants that live in this upper unit up here, and they said, "Man, we have a problem with mice." So I ventured down this thing right here. You come down here. There's a whole carport that was just closed off with these two double doors. But basically, I went in and I said, "You know what?" I had an exterminator come out, and they said that they would charge me $1,500 to board this thing up and seal up any cracks that were allowing rodents to get into the house. And I said, you know what, man, I'm not paying anyone $1,500 to do that. I'm going to do it myself. So we go in there and we venture. And I said, you know what, this can be converted into a living space. So I got my guys over and we commenced to digging this thing out, and we actually converted it to a living space. So I'm going to fast forward through all this. We had to concrete it all out, and I had to draw up plans, and I'm going to zoom through these so you can see the transformation. But basically, created a one-bedroom unit down there, so you can see how this thing is shaping up. But basically, this is where I learned about the upflush toilets because the plumbing was up in the ceiling, so I had to be able to flush the waste out. But basically, got it all framed out, got all the plumbing run, got it all insulated. And we're like, okay, how are we going to heat and cool this? And that is where Mr. Cool DIY comes in. And that guy right there, this is probably first or second generation Mr. Cool DIY. And you see how it's supported right there on the wall. That's going to pay attention to that because that's going to come up later. You got your disconnect out here, and I go in ahead and hook this thing up, and it actually turned out well. Okay, the picture there is for the upper unit. This is for the upstairs unit. Since I was working on the HVAC, I had these guys, a professional, come out and install this one. But the DIY one was something I took care of myself, and so I'm gonna fast forward. We get this unit all framed out and done, and it turned out really well. Okay, but let's fast forward to 2024. So there's the wall unit, the interior wall unit right there. The place turned out nicely. Was able to rent that out, get a renter over there right away, and it was awesome. So, but what happened is I told you I had this unit hung up here on the wall, right? So the tenant was moving out the week before they moved out. They stayed there from 2020 until now. So like a month or two ago, they moved out. But this unit right here, basically what had happened is the bolts became compromised, and this thing fell forward and was caught only by the hanging on by the tubes that were coming out, the line sets, and the electrical wires. Okay, because this support that is attached to the wall became compromised, and so it tilted forward. So basically, what I did is said, okay, I went to the store and I bought another unit. Okay, bought this guy right here. All right, and hooked it up. And so this is a fifth generation, but I've been installing these things for years. So I said, okay, it's just fifth generation. Didn't pay attention to anything because the line sets look the same. The everything pretty much looked the exact same. So I said, okay, I'm gonna just take out the old one and pop in a new one. And why? Because my I had my guy take care of the unit. So, he propped it up. And I said, look, when you put these lines back in, just be very careful because this thing has gas, freon in it, refrigerant. And if you pop this line or crack this line, it's going to come, the gas is going to come out. And so he got in touch with me and let me know that as he was putting it back in, basically this right here became compromised and, so I said, okay, all right, I'm going to have to replace it. So like I said, I went to the store, picked up a new one, and I said, I'm going to just go ahead and pop out the old one and replace it with the new one. All right. Well, this is what happened. Here in lies the story. Well, this new guy, this fifth generation, this guy has a different type of freon. In addition to that, the old one, the old one was 230 volts, while this one is 115 volts. All minor details or major details that I overlooked. And so, first of all, this is the first thing that happened. And this is my first warning. The first thing you want to do is make sure that any power updates, you make sure that you take note of those. Because the old one, like I said, was 230. Even though it was 12,000 BTUs, it was only 200. It was 230 volts. The new one is 115 volts. What does that mean? Well, the old one required this guy right here to a double pole breaker. Okay, so you basically had hot and hot going to the unit. Well, the new one only is a 115 volt, which means I only needed a single pole breaker. Okay, which means I was sending a hot and a neutral to the box. When I say the box, I'm talking about the disconnect that's outside. So when I hooked this guy up, hot and hot, and plugged up, turned on the machine, boom, there was an explosion because of the electricity. It was sent, there was no way for the electricity to return out of it. So that was a huge blunder on my part, and I blew up the brand new machine. Okay. So that's the first thing. Make sure that you take note of the power. If I was a certified electrician, I would have known better. I'm not a certified electrician, so I didn't know better. All right. The second thing is the line set. Once again, here's what the line set looks like. The fifth generation, now they've switched to this 454B refrigerant. Okay. Anything prior to that, you're looking at 410A refrigerant. And why is that important? Well, when you're hooking up your unit, let's say you bought this new unit, okay, fifth generation, this thing is pre-charged. It has refrigerant inside. Also, your line set has refrigerant inside, and the inside unit, this is the wall unit, also has refrigerant inside. And when they send it to you or you buy it, these three refrigerants are compatible. They're the same thing. The prior generations had 410. So let's say you hooked it up and you're like, man, this isn't long enough. Let me go onto Facebook Marketplace and purchase one of the hoses, a line set from on Facebook Marketplace. Well, they have those things. Okay. You can go on the Facebook Marketplace like you saw here, and they'll sell you a refrigerant line because people do it all the time. You may need 16 feet, or you may have purchased one that comes with 16 feet, but you actually need 25 feet. Or you may have purchased one that comes with 25 feet, and you're like, man, this is a lot more than I need. So let me look online and find something that has a 16 footer. Well, I happen to have an extra line set lying around. So I said, let me use this older one. Okay. And I hooked the thing up, and it had 410 refrigerant, while my new components had the 454B refrigerant, and that is not a good mix. Luckily, I called them and asked them if it was a problem. And they said, yes, this is a problem. I didn't even know that there was a difference in the refrigerant, to be honest with you. And so this is what I did. I had the new refrigerant and the uh, condenser, new refrigerant in the wall unit, but old refrigerant in the line set that I hooked up. Wow, an accident waiting to happen. Luckily, like I said, I called them and they said, no, can't do that. The new one has different type of refrigerant. I really think they should make a bigger deal of it because the connections are the exact same connections. So I really think that Mr. Cool should have done a better job. Maybe they could have changed the size of the bolts or something because all these things get connected. If they changed the size of it, then that would, like, this line set, these connectors are identical to these connectors. So if you aren't aware of what you're doing, then you really could mess that up. And so luckily, um, I did not. So I hooked it up, but I didn't open the lines, so the gases did not mix. But I was saved by the bell with that one. But anyway, you don't want to do that. You don't want to get something that is older than fifth generation and buy one of these older line sets. You got to make sure that you have a fifth generation line set to go along with your fifth generation condenser and your fifth generation indoor unit. Because, like I said, each of these three components come pre-charged. All right. So anyway, I got the took down an old one. We propped that up, and had my guy build build a support. Okay, so we built the support for it, um, the new one that is. I got it all wired up, connected the lines. I had to go back and buy another one, basically. So because the old one blew up, boom, there was smoke coming out of the thing and everything. But anyway, the newer one got it all hooked up, got my lines coming out, taped them all up and everything. So and insulated it well, and you can see the supports here. I highly recommend those supports because if this thing comes out, so those bolts that you see there, if for whatever reason they become compromised and that falls forward, you don't want it to depend on this line set. But anyway, that is the story that I wanted to tell you guys. And just to review, you want to make sure, please make sure that you check the power requirements. Okay, check your power requirements if you're installing a Mr. Cool DIY, and also make sure that you are sure that the refrigerant in your line sets is compatible with the machines that you are installing. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is once again Jake Scott, Mr. 2Pi, the DIY teacherpreneur, signing out.